Hi and welcome everyone. So in today's lesson I will continue part 2 of silent letters. But before I begin part 2, let's review again what are silent letters. Here we have silent letters are letters that are not pronounced when you say a word. This means that you cannot hear the letter making a sound within the word. So more than 60% of the English words have silent letters in them. However, there are some basic rules about which letters are silent before or after other letters. But be aware, the rules don't always work. Here we left off at the letter M. So there aren't many words with silent M. If you're learning different languages, you might be familiar with mnemonic. Mnemonic, the first M is silent. Now, what does mnemonic mean? It means something that helps you remember something else. Okay, so the M here is silent. Mnemonic. Next, we have N. N is very simple. We don't pronounce N if it comes after M. Again, we don't pronounce N if it comes after M. At the end of a word, for example, autumn. Autumn is not autumn, autumn, no, autumn. Okay? Column, we don't say column, no, column. What about also we have condemn, we have damn, we have hem. Now, what about the letter P? If P, okay, well, we don't pronounce P if it comes at the beginning of a word. Again, we don't pronounce P if it comes at the beginning of a word before an S. Okay? For example, pseudoscience. This is, it's kind of a hard word, but pseudoscience. Psychiatrist. Psychiatrist. Psychic. Psychic. And psychology. Psychology. Again, pseudoscience, psychiatrist, psychic, and psychology. Here you notice that we did not pronounce the P because it came before an S. Now, if a word begins with PN or PT, again, if a word begins with PN or PT, we do not pronounce the P here also. Here we have pneumatic, pneumatic, pneumonia, pneumonia. We have pterodactyl, pterodactyl. It's very hard, but pterodactyl. Okay, we do not pronounce the P here. And a pterodactyl is a instinct flying animal that lived at the same time as dinosaurs. So that's what it is. There are also a few random words with silent P. For example, coup, we have cupboard, and now we have raspberry and receipt. So coup, cupboard, raspberry, receipt. If you notice, I did not pronounce this P in any of these words, and these are just random words. These are more common words that we use and you know. Now let's move to the letter R. In standard British, the letter R is silent if it's followed by a consonant or if it's at the end of a word. For example, in British English, they say folk, they say start, they say star, and they say teacher. Okay, this is in British English. Now, in American English, what I speak, we say fork, we say start, we say star, and we say teacher. Okay, so this rule doesn't really apply for the American English, but if you're hearing a British person, you will hear that they barely ever pronounce the R. So they say folk, star, teacher. They do not pronounce the R. However, if the following words start with a vowel sound, we normally pronounce the R in British English as well. For example, if we put R after, if we put is after teacher, it becomes the teacher is, or the teacher is, okay? But in British English, the teacher is always right, okay? In American English, they say the teacher is always right, okay? Now, moving to the letter S. There aren't many words that have a silent S. Some of the most common ones are what you see in front of you: aisle, bourgeois, we have debris, we also have island, and we have aisle. Again, you notice that I did not pronounce the S in any of these. Again, aisle, bourgeois, debris, island, and aisle as well. Now these are the first and the last. The first word and the last word are pronounced the same. They have a different meaning, and these are homophones. The letter T. There are quite a lot of silent T's in English. For example, it's silent before CH. Okay? Remember, T is silent before CH. We have catch, we have sketch, we have stitch, we have watch, we have which. Okay? Now you are not hearing me say the T, you are hearing the CH, which is almost, sounding like a T. Catch, sketch, stitch, watch, and which. Again, we have which, and we have the other which which is WHICH. They're pronounced the same, but they have a different meaning. Another homophones here. Now, if a word ends in STEN, for example, christen, fasten, listen. Again, christen, fasten, listen. These are, you do not hear the T is silent here. And if a word ends in STLE, like castle, hustle, whistle, it is also silent. So if a word ends in STLE, we do not pronounce the T, like castle, hustle, whistle. You are not hearing me say castle or hustle or whistle. No, castle, hustle, whistle. Then we have words that have been taken from the French that end in et, such as ballet, buffet, gourmet. We do not say ballet, buffet, gourmet. No, no. We say ballet, buffet, gourmet. Now these are words taken from the French. They're cute words, and we have many words that we have taken from the French, but these are most common ones that you know. But don't let that confuse you. Most of the time we do pronounce the E at the end of a word. Okay? Here we have some random words that you just need to learn. Some common ones are asthma, Christmas, mortgage, and soften. Again, asthma, Christmas, mortgage, soften. We are not pronouncing the T in any of these words. These are also common words that you know. And there's no rule. You just have to know that the T in these words are silent. So we are almost done. Let's talk about you. You, yes, you is sometimes silent as well. U is often silent after G and before a vowel. For example, colleague, guard, guest, guide, guitar. Here, notice you are not hearing the U in any of my pronunciation. Again, colleague, guard, guest, guide, and guitar. Now, W. If a word begins with WR, the W is always silent. I'm going to repeat this because we have many words that start with W. If a word starts with WR, the word is always silent, like in these words: wrap, wrinkle, wrist, right, wrong. You are not hearing the W in any of these words. I'm going to repeat them: wrap, wrinkle, wrist, right, wrong. Take a good look at them. Now, if a word starts with WHO, the W is silent. For example, who, whoever, and whole. Again, who, whoever, whole. You are not hearing the W in any of these pronunciations. And we also have some more random words with W. So W is silent, and these are some common ones that you just need to know, like answer, sword, and two, the letter 2, the number 2, I'm sorry. Again, answer, sword, and 2. The W here is silent. And now, honestly, X, there aren't many words with a silent X. One common one is faux. We do not pronounce the X, so we just say faux, faux. Some British say faux, but in American English we say faux. Same goes for the letter Y. It's very rarely silent. It's silent in the word prayer, in the word mayor, but some Americans say mayor, and the British say mayo. They do not pronounce it. So it just depends. There's really no rule here, but it's very rarely silent. We usually pronounce it, but just remember in prayer we do not pronounce the Y. And mayor, it depends where you are from. If you're Britain or from your or if you're from the U.S., it just depends where you are from. Moving along, we finally the letter Z. Again, there aren't that many silent Z's that you need to know, and that's it. Obviously, I haven't given you every single word with a silent letter because there are just too many, but I've given you the most common ones, the most ones that we use every day, and hopefully these rules and the most common word that I've given you can help. Actually, it's going to help you, and that's it. That's it for today's lesson. Have a great day until our next lesson.